Hey, everybody, welcome to the Dream Big podcast. This is just so fun to be able to connect with you guys each week and then bring my friends on today. Lex Gillette. He is a guy you're going to love. If you don't know about him already, you're going to love him at the end. He's been inspiring as a friend for, gosh, years and years now.
Yeah.
Lex, welcome to Dream Big.
Oh man, thank you, Bob. I appreciate it.
I'm looking at the back of you. I was rubbing you a little bit about a wall of shoes.
Yes,
How
yes.
many shoes you got back there?
There has to be at least 90 probably.
Okay. This is
Yeah.
awesome. You know, when I was a Nike athlete, they would send me shoes as well. I don't think so, man. Like kind of just getting out of the chair feels like a big reach. Hey, tell us a little bit about you so people can be introduced to you. Like you're just such a household word around here, but I recognize some people don't know you. You're a Paralympian. You're have like record holder. Like tell us about you.
Yeah, I'm here in San Diego, as you know. Or you specifically know, everyone else doesn't, but have been living here in San Diego slash Chula Vista for the past like 14, 15 years. But I'm from the East Coast, from North Carolina, from Raleigh. And as a kid in Raleigh, I was, doing everything that you can imagine an 8-year-old child doing, playing the video games, riding bicycles, playing outside with friends. And there was one day that I had come home from school and started having issues with my eyes, just kind of like a random occurrence. And that caused me to talk to my mom and say, hey, like this is going on. Things are looking blurred. They're looking faint. And we took some water. We washed my eyes out, which it made it feel better, but it didn't clear my sight any. So the next thought was to go to the doctor, get an examination done, see what the issue was. And so they diagnosed me with recurrent retina detachments, which basically means that every time that they would go into the operating room to reattach my retinas, which had detached, they would, for some reason, 3 or 4 weeks later, detach again. And so that was literally the pattern. I would go in there, have an operation, they would fix the issue. I could see well for about a month. After that time, sight would get blurred again. So lights and things would get faint. We would go back. They would operate again. I could see well for another 3 to 4 weeks. After that, sight began to get even more blurry. So that was a pattern for the entire time that I was 8 years old. And in that 1 year alone, I had 10 operations to try and
Oh
fix
man.
the issue. And after the last one, doctors said that there wasn't anything else they could do to help my sight. And they said I would most likely become blind.
What did
Uh,
that feel like? You know, can you even remember back like 8, 9 years old? And then you just like this realization, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to see in the way that other people see. Because I
yeah,
know you see a lot. You see more than most people, but we're going to get to that. But tell, what did that feel like?
yeah, I think that, I mean, the things that I really remember the most are going to the doctor's office, having to get my eyes dilated, putting my head in like the little cradle thing so they can shine
Yeah.
lights in my eyes and trying to figure out, what's going on in there. And I remember all of the times, those dreaded times where they would say, all right, well, we got to operate again. And waking up early in the morning to go to the hospital and they're admitting you and they're putting the gown on you and the hospital wristband and being in that bed and them rolling me back from the room to the operating room. And there were so many times where, I mean, it was scary for me. So when we would go through corridors, I'm reaching out left to right, trying to grab the door frame
Oh
so that I
yeah.
keep them from rolling the table back. And once back in the hospital, the operating room rather, it was this was like the 90s. So they're putting like the gas mask over my face and I'm having to breathe that. And I remember the nurses, they're like, all right, I want you to count backwards from 100. And I don't think I ever got to like 96.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I remember all of those things. And then, once they actually said that I wouldn't be able to see anymore, I think that, subconsciously, I feel like I had already kind of had gotten to that point of
Mm.
just, this might be my life. And, it was definitely tough. After that last operation, it was being at home and going through the healing process. And I had, patches on my eyes, and my mom would have to put eye drops in my eyes. And, I couldn't be out in the sun for long periods of time. And,
Yeah.
it was a lot going on. So it was definitely tough. But fortunately, I have, amazing mom. So,
Yeah. Yeah. She's still with us, isn't she?
oh, yeah. Yeah. She's back
Becky's.
home in Raleigh. Yeah.
Yeah. So good. Um, so is the rest of the story. So you joined the chess team and you just sat in a dark room and just played chess and said, like,
Exactly.
well, I'm
Get
just
my
gonna
mind right.
bail. I'm not gonna try to achieve anything.
Yeah.
Hey, tell us what happened next.
It was just a lot of learning life in a different way. So, I still had to go to school and get my education. So I learned how to read Braille, and I learned how to use technology, different pieces of accessible technology. So you have your computers that can speak to you, or your smartphones that speak to you, and I can type and things like that. Um, Learn how to use a cane. So, I could slide the cane from left to right. So I know when to step onto a curb, off of a curb, go upstairs, downstairs, avoid obstacles. And I just learned how to understand where I was in space, and I learned how to kind of see what I wanted to see out of myself in certain areas. So specifically by that, like something literal, like my neighborhood, couldn't see that anymore. So now I had to learn how to
Yeah.
navigate without being able to see it. So understanding that, okay, I feel the concrete under my feet. Now, when I get to the grass line where it meets the concrete meets the grass, and I know I can either turn left or right. If I go left, that'll lead me down the sidewalk that goes to the dumpsters to dump out the trash, which my mom showed me where that was.
Yeah, she did.
Um, or I could go to the right, and I could, take one step, go up 3 stairs, and that would bring me to a landing, which I then knew to turn to the left. And as I took 4 or 5 steps forward, I knew that I could reach my right hand out, and that would lead me to the handrail that would go upstairs to our front door. So
Oh
it
my
was
God.
really, yeah, it was really like creating these maps inside of my mind and using landmarks and, other external, things to understand how to navigate and understand where I was in space.
Yeah, when we talk about how you can actually see more than most of us in a lot of ways, I'm going to skip ahead just for a moment. You and I taught a class, gosh, was it 6 years ago, 7 years
Yeah.
ago at university here? And you I picked you up at the Olympic Training Center. We drove out there. You taught this class. At one point, you said, "Hey, is there a piano somewhere up here?" I'm like, "No way." And then
Yeah.
you just rip this like amazing thing. And you've got pipes too. Like you actually can sing, not just like polite sing, like you can sing. Well, we get in the car and we're driving home. I bet it's 45-minute drive. And we're talking as we go. And then you said, just from the passenger say, turn the next right. I'm like, what the heck? Like you can't see. And then I'm like trying to just process all this. And then you said bump in 3 seconds. And then 3, 2, 1, speed bump.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, so like this idea of this internal mapping that you do, you have this situational awareness because I would imagine these senses have become heightened by necessity. And
Yeah.
then also with training, you're just always keeping track.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And it's like, I mean, when you're when you're on the roads and you travel a certain path day to day to day to day to day, you start to understand the different nuances of the roads and the streets and the turns. And you know that, all right, well, if I feel this slight left to or the slight turn to the left, then all right, after a couple seconds, then that should lead me to this or that should lead
Dude.
me to that. So it's really just, yeah, I'm being really, really aware. Um, and it helps me out so much because I'm able to, it appears as though I can see what's going on, but in actuality, well, it appears as though I have eyesight, but
Yeah.
in Wow.
We were talking about that one of the first times we visited. I was saying like, dude, you're like making eye contact with me wherever I go and wherever I look. You're looking me like right in the eyes. And you were explaining that that was like kind of a learned thing that it makes other people who have sight like more comfortable. Explain that. It was so beautiful. It was like so other oriented.
Yeah, it was just one of those things where my mom, being from the South, it's just really important to show respect and have manners and things like that. So my mom was always encouraging me to, if someone is talking to you, look in the direction of their voice and let them know that you are giving them your undivided attention. And so she just really grilled that into my mind. So I just always, whenever people are talking to me, I'm, trying my best to at least, let them know that, all right, like I'm here, I'm present, I'm with you. And in my mom's mind, she was like, all right, I get it, you're blind, but there's no reason why you can't still, continue to hold your head up and look at people, da 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 da. She didn't want me to be that person who, would hold my head down and feel, pity or sorry about myself. She just really instilled in me at an early age that you still have a purpose here on this earth, and it doesn't matter that you don't have any eyesight, and it also doesn't matter what other people think of you and what they believe you can do, and where you can go and who you can become. The only thing that matters is what you think about yourself and how you see yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
really huge on like building up my self-esteem and just changing my self-image.
I remember writing your story in one of the books, and then we put the book in Braille. Actually, we put all of the books I've written in Braille. And I remember sending the book to you. You were flying to South America or somewhere across an ocean. And I remember sending it along to say, like, hey, did I find any typos? And you've like learned how to navigate not only reading but then also writing your story, and you put it in a book, no need for sight when you have a vision.
Oh
So
yeah.
talk to us about that. There you go, check that out. Yeah. So
Uh,
is that braille on the top? You've got like some
yeah,
bumps on
yeah,
there.
yeah, you can't actually feel it per se, but it's there and it is the Braille equivalent to the print letters. So it's really cool. And I wanted to make sure that whatever I created, it did have that
Yeah,
Braille so that people can see. We got to keep the Braille alive because
come
with
on.
technology and how rapid you can put books in audio format or electronic format, Braille is kind of like it seems as though it's becoming obsolete. But we still need it around because of other reasons, literacy and understanding how to spell and all of those types of things. So
Yeah,
no
I
matter.
remember. I remember when we were doing putting Love Does into Braille on the cover, we had like on the red balloon, there's the Braille for this is a red balloon, and then there's Braille, this is a yellow balloon. And I've learned so much from you along the way, not only about resilience, but you just have this like unbendable joy. I know faith is a big deal for you. I know your family is a big deal for you. I know how to be a great friend to people. What are some of the things I know when we were talking first, we were talking about setbacks. And wasn't there a time where you were kind of jumping for really a big, I think it was a qualification for the Olympic team, and you missed the sand pit. Can you
Oh
tell us
yeah,
how that works?
yeah. I was so we were at World Championships a few years ago. We were in Doha, Qatar, and so when I'm competing, I have a guide in the long jump, and he stands at that takeoff point, the takeoff board, and he's clapping and yelling as loud as he can so that I know which direction to run. The reason being is because the guides are not allowed to run alongside the athletes. They have to be stationary. So you're working collaboratively with another person to get from start to finish. And for me, working with my guide, Wesley, there's about 115, 116 feet in between where I am and where he is. I know that takes me 16 strides to cover that distance. And, you think about being inside of a huge stadium where there's crowds, there are the acoustics might change
Mm,
stadium to stadium. And so when you're down there on the field of play, sometimes it totally just interferes with your ability to hear
yeah.
your guide clearly. And so this particular competition, it just sounded like his voice and claps were very echoey. And so when things echo, it appears as though the area where the sound is coming from, it just seems very larger than what it is. Uh,
Oh, that spells trouble.
so I'm
That's,
running, and then like I get to the point of I'm like, man, I think I'm going the right direction, but I'm not totally sure. And we're at World Championships, so I'm like, man, I'm gunning it. Like I'm not going to stop. So when I
yeah.
jumped, I felt myself shift to the right hand side. I'm sorry, a little bit. And again, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna land in the sand pit, but again, this is World Championships, so I'm just gonna rock out with it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I felt the concrete beneath my bottom, and
Oh, hard.
and yeah, and so I mean, it definitely it hurt for sure. But the awesome thing is that we were able to go to the medical tent, got cleared out in terms of being able to go back to the competition, had to get a couple band-aids, a couple bandages. I ripped my tights a little bit, so I had to get a new pair. So I didn't want to like
I'm not going to be saying
moon
you're
the crowd.
mooning everybody, but I'm just saying.
So
Now, I think, pause there for a second, because I think most people, if it was me, I'd lost my eyesight, I'd run hard, I'd jump big, I gave it my everything, I crashed and burned. A lot of times people would just bail. But like, help us understand what's that thing inside of you that just says, no, like, go get me a new uni and let's go do this thing again. Explain what bubbles up inside of you, because I think a lot of people just hit tilt. They just be, I'm out.
yeah, I think that I mean there's just something internally where, and I'll talk about it in in the book here, but I think there's just something internally within all of us where you just always want to win. And whether that is in the context of competition, whether it is you dieting, being better each day, you want to win at not eating so much fast food or things that aren't as healthy. You want to win at being a better member of your community or your job. And so in my mind, I was like, I just ultimately I want to win. I want to get at the top of the podium. And even beyond that, I want to win in the sense of, this was an obstacle. It was a challenge. It was some people might say a tragedy, but I've already experienced, something pretty tragic in life. Um, so I don't really believe that past that there's much of anything else that could be worse.
Yeah, tell me what a bad day is. Like, I think it'd be like, what's a comparison? Like, yeah, so what did you do? You walked back to the end of the runway and your
Yeah,
coach went to the end of the sand pit. Did like somebody hold up a sign to everybody in the stadium to say, could everybody just like be quiet for a second?
yeah. I think once you see someone run and jump, land on the side of the sand pit, I think something in your mind tells you like, all right,
It quiets right down.
yeah. And so yeah, we the unfortunate thing is that we get 6 attempts in the competition. So each athlete is going one by one by one by one by one, and then it resets one by one by one by one. So you get 6 attempts. Since I had landed on the side of the pit and needed to step away for a little bit, I had actually missed one of my attempts, which when I returned, I only had my sixth one, my last one.
Oh,
And before we even got to the point of competing again, taking that last attempt, and I just wanted to let Wesley know that, I'm the one that's blind here. Like you could see what's going on. And I would imagine that what you just saw was it's pretty tough. Like we've been working together for years upon years. I mean, since 2007. So I just wanted him to know that, at the end of the day, I still trust you. I think most people would believe that after something like that happens, that the trust would be broken. But I think that, in my mind, the opposite happened. I think that it just improved even more because I wanted to make sure that hey man, listen, every time we step on this runway, I understand that something like this could happen, but I don't want you to, feel as though it was your fault. Like we're a team at the end of the day.
Oh man, that
And
is such a Lex moment. I mean, here you are, you got like some major road rash going on. You got a new uni because the other one and your tights are split top to bottom. You just got beat up. You jumped long and hit hard. And then this is just exactly how I've experienced you. Then you want to make sure he's feeling okay.
yeah,
I'm like,
because we still got to
you,
win.
it's just this reverse economy that like not only did Jesus talk about, but I've seen that in your life. So you walk down to the end of the this really narrow. How narrow is that ramp that you need to run down?
It's like 30 feet wide, I believe.
Yeah. So you walk down to the end of this thing, and then he goes the end of the sand pit, and starts calling your name again.
Yep.
Yeah. What does he say? Lex, Lex, fly, fly,
No,
fly.
yeah. He he'll ask me if I'm ready. And so once I hear that, then I know to get into my start position.
Yep.
So I'm a left foot forward, right foot back guy. And so once he asks me if I'm ready, he'll make sure that my shoulders are in line with where he's standing so I can have the best possibility of running straight. And from there, he fly, 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 fly. And so as I pick up speed, he's picking up his cadence of his claps and the yells.
Yeah.
It matches with my running stride, and I know that on my 16th stride, I jump and should most times land in the sand. And so that last jump I actually did land in the sand, and it was I want to say it was like nearly 21 feet, and so that was the best. That was my best jump of the competition and the best jump of the entire competition. And so we were able to win the gold medal.
Yeah. So hang on a second. So you crash and burn, then you go back, get a new uni, and then you win the gold medal.
Yeah.
Like, dude, that's pretty cool. Well,
Yeah.
one of the things I want to make sure we get some time to talk to is your curiosity about everything. I know one of the, I don't know if it's a permanent event in the Olympics, but it was BMX bikes. And so you were curious about the guys because there's a BMX track out there that you showed me,
Yeah.
and you said like, oh yeah, I rode the track. Like you're blind. How do you ride the track? Is it the same like mapping? You just know I go here, and then there's a bank, and then I go high in the bank and then down. Walk us through that.
Yeah. So a lot of times for me, it is getting that opportunity to navigate through an environment once or twice. And yeah, what you just said is it's like me mapping it inside of my mind so I can understand what it is that I'm dealing with, how much space that I have, the inclines, the declines, just everything, any sorts of characteristics that I can grapple with, or excuse me, not grapple with, but things that I can attach to so that I can create this mental image of what it is that I'm dealing with. And so with the BMX course, similar situation. Me and my friend Ariel Martin, we walked the course, so the BMX course at the Olympic Training Center, and I got a chance to feel the different humps and the
Yeah.
jumps, things like that. And so uh, one day I texted her and I was like, or we might have been in the cafeteria, I'm not sure. But I told her I was like, hey, I want to ride the BMX course. And so
He's like, you're nuts.
and so yeah, we intentionally waited until like after 5 o'clock just to make sure that everyone who, has the 8 to 5 that works at the training facility that they wouldn't see it. Because I knew that if they saw that, they would be like, what are you doing? Stop this.
Yeah.
Uh, and so we waited later in the evening, went out there, got my helmet. She gave me some all of the protective gear, had me a jersey and everything. So it felt really it's a real life situation. And yeah, she stood similar to how Wesley does. She stood at a certain distance and she would clap and yell. And I was on the bike and yeah, I could feel the tires against that, whatever that surface is that they create for the athletes. I know it's not.
Yeah. It's like that hard rubber. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like it's like compacted dirt, I think that they told me with like a sealant on top of it.
Mm.
So, if they crash, then they're not landing on like asphalt or anything like that, even though the speeds that they reach, I bet you it probably feels like that if they do crash.
Yeah, no kidding.
But yeah, we rode the course that day, and that was probably one of the most invigorating experiences ever for me because number one, I was doing something that I've like never seen anyone participate in BMX before. I've ridden bikes before plenty of times, but never to that degree.
Yeah.
And I think the second thing was um it was really it was really expanding my mind and my fervor for like just achievement and being able to do things that most people would think is impossible. And even beyond that, doing things that, I can do that kind of solidify, hey, like, Lex, you could do this.
Yeah.
Um, and just to have friends who trust you enough to be able to go out there and try those things. That was, it was a lot of fun.
I've been trying to get you up in an airplane next to the Olympic Training Center. There's a
Yeah,
little
we
place
got
you can
to do
get
it.
out there and do some free falling and skydiving. And you can either take the classes and learn how to do it yourself, which is like the route we went, or you can be strapped to somebody. Either way, it's a gas. But you keep on competing for all these Olympic titles. So you're like, dude, I can't break my leg. And I would feel so bad being the guy that took you out. So what's next for you? What do you have coming up that you're working on and training on now?
Yeah, we have the Paralympics are next year, so next summer in Paris, which is that's going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah,
And
well,
yeah, the 1 year mark just passed about a week ago, so um, it is time is moving. So before we get that, we have the Pan American Games, which are down in Santiago, Chile, in a couple months. So that should be awesome. And what do we have? We have a World Championships in like 3 months prior to the Paralympics out in Kobe, Japan. So there's a lot of international travel coming up over this next year.
oh
But
my God, you're always on the move. It's like you're in the witness protection program and you didn't even do anything wrong.
oh yeah,
I love this. Lex, man, God bless you for the inspiration you are to so many people, for the Goff family and the way that you've like impacted us. But man, you're just a bright, bright light in the world. Um, and it's not because you have a disability, it's because of all of your ability. Like I just say, it's not like, well, Lex lost his sight and he's just a courageous guy. I'm sorry you lost your sight, but you're just a guy that, I mean, the book title says it, no needs for sight when you have a vision. And you're a guy with a vision, with a faith, with a courage, and with a ton of hope. So thank you. Thanks for making a little time for us. I may try to sneak in. I think you'd probably hear me. I've got my eye on a pair of those red sneakers behind you there.
yeah.
I just think that this heightened awareness of sound, you'd say, Bob. I'd be trying to tiptoe out of there. What size foot shoe do you wear? I'm like a 13. Will they
Okay,
fit?
they will fit perfectly.
Yes. Yes.
They will
Yes.
perfectly.
I won't say see you later, but I'll say it like you might hear me later. Like,
Hey, when it comes to these shoes, I'm always locked in.
yeah, you are. Hey, you guys, you've been listening to the Dream Big podcast. If you want to support an author, the cool thing to do, just buy their book. And it isn't about the money that comes from a book. It's about the opportunity. I want Lex to write the next book and the next book and the next book. And then as publishers see that people are connecting with his message, they'll do that. So just a way to encourage people that are out there with positive messages, with a bright hope. And heaven knows we need that right now to counteract all the negativity out there. I just wanted you to meet another friend of mine. Lex, God bless you, buddy. And I'll look forward to seeing you in your bedroom really soon. And keep those red sneakers right about where they are right now. In case it's kind of dark, I'll want to know where to pull them out of.
I will. Yes. When you come in my place, I'm gonna make sure you have a blindfold first, so we can be
Yeah.
on the playing field.
Yeah. Even it up a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
Alrighty. God bless you.